Hey, this is Bob from Dogwatch Cigar Radio.
And this is Dale, and you're watching a video review on StogieReview.com.
Excellent.
That one sounded okay.
Hello and welcome to another episode of the Stogie Review video review. I know I'm catching some of you off guard. You're probably thinking, is it Monday already? Well, it is not. It's Wednesday. Just got an email from Brian. He had some family business to take care of, so I figured I'd, try to do a little impromptu review, keep you entertained on your Wednesday. And without further ado, got my Punch hat on, and I got my Punch cigar. And we're going to be reviewing the Punch Champion today. And these have a price point of about $3.90 a pop, as you can see from the cellophane. I had to pop it off to take the picture. And this particular cigar went into my humidor on November 11th. So it's got a little bit of rest. It should be ready to go. Anyway, the particulars on this cigar, impromptu, so I gotta go directly to the source here. Okay, the Champion is a Perfecto shape. It's got a Colorado Maduro wrapper, which basically means it's not very light. You just look in the Perlin's guide for the clarifications. It doesn't mean it's a Maduro. It just means the color class is, I guess it's medium brown. And the size is 4.5 by 60 at the widest part of the cigar. It sure looks like a snake that just ate something. It's kind of bulged. And as you can see, the bands are just falling off. But for now, I'll just leave them on so that you know what I'm smoking, and when I reference the video later, I can get a general idea of what it is. Anyway, this is completely off of memory, but the Punch Champion is one of the regular Punch line of cigars. Now, the Punch Champion does have a unique blend. It's the only cigar in the lineup with this blend, which makes it different. And the reason it got the name Champion, which is completely from memory here at this point, is it went to a vote. I guess Punch released 2 cigars to the general public, and only one of them was going to be entered into the regular line of cigars. And this one happened to win, hence Champion, and it was entered into the line of cigars. So that's how you got the name. At least that's how I remember it. So anyway, I'm going to cut the camera off, get my gear all ready to go, clip, and we'll get underway. Well, we're back, and got my cutter and my lighter, and we're ready to go. So go ahead and use my polio cutter and clip my cigar. I'm not going to do this in front of the camera because it's kind of difficult to hold it up. Alright. Quick cut, clean, simple. Just kind of nick the end. Don't try to take a big hunk of cap off. Just enough to open things up. Now, pre-light draw is a little firm, and one thing I can do to loosen it up a little, bit is if it becomes too much, I can always clip a little bit more off the Perfecto, because as you can see, it's going to taper and get wider. So if I have to, I can keep cutting in succession until I get a wide enough opening just to give me enough smoke. And I'm gonna go ahead and use my Z Plus torch insert, and since I got a couple comments that you want to see me do this, I'll go ahead and toast and light. This lighter happens to be running low on fluid. That's why I'm so close to the cigar. It's not really doing a whole lot. I'm going to try to adjust the flame a little bit here. There we go. Now we can solder. That's kind of scary. Let go of the ignition and it just kept on going. Maybe I ought to turn it down. Let's do it again. I know this must be so entertaining. There we go again. Great. Gonna blow up in my hand. Okay, well, I'm gonna work on this, and I'll be back. Well, I'm back, and once you're done laughing, you can see my lighter and me are still in one piece. It didn't explode on me, even though it did look like it was going to for a second there. I got my Punch Champion lit. See what happens when you try to rush and you're not prepared and you're doing this impromptu? Anyway. I'm getting an okay amount of smoke. I think I can handle that. Like I said before, if it becomes a little bit of a problem, I'm just going to clip a little bit more, and I'll just work my way down a little bit and see, just exactly what kind of draw I can get out of it, just by going down a little bit further at a time. But the flavor it's a really thick and dense, heavy laid on, just Honduran flavor. I find that really consistent with Punch cigars, or just Honduran cigars in general. But Punch is one of the Honduran brands that just really lay it on you, and that's the flavor you get right off the bat with this particular cigar. It's about medium body. The finish is really heavy. It's like it almost gives you sort of a syrup kind of feel in your mouth. It just leaves your mouth feeling real thick. And the flavor at this point is just a real heavy Honduran base. And so at this point, I'm just going to go ahead and smoke a little bit further, and be back with you once again, and try to see what happens when we get a little further into this bulge. Alright, again, as you can see, I'm starting to get into that beefy part of the cigar, into that 60 ring gauge portion. The burn's a little uneven. It looks radically uneven on the camera, but really what it is it's fairly even, but there's a high spot on the leaf back here that just makes it look dramatic on the camera. The ash is nice and firm. I find with Perfectos, they really hang on quite a bit longer than your typical, straight shafted cigar, just because just because there's such a little bit of ash on the end, it just cones out, and it just, I guess there's more surface area, so it really holds on. The flavor is just still really, it's a deep, dense, just Honduran tobacco flavor. There's no, there's no finesse or finer qualities to it. It's just it's a very good aged Honduran tobacco flavor. It's still kind of long. It's kind of heavy and thick on the palate. Still about medium body. It's got a really mild spice if you blow the smoke out of your sinuses. And so far, everything's shaping up to be pretty good. The only downside to the cigar is the smoke feels a little thin. It's I mentioned what I mean by that before, where it feels like it's a little more work to get it, through your sinuses because of how thin and almost like how aerated it is. But aside from that, it's smoking really well. The draw's a little better now. I guess as it gets into the fatter portion of the cigar, there's just more surface area to bring smoke through the cigar, so the draw is much easier. And as you can see, I took the bands off. That is bands plural. There is just a standard punch band on the cigar, and then there's one that just says Champion. See that? Oh, I held it crooked, but you get the idea. Aside from that, nothing really to report. A little background on the cigar, at least in my experience, is I don't smoke very many of these lately. I just haven't gotten around to smoking very many. I used to smoke quite a bit of them. I would pick up 3 or 4 a shot when I went to the cigar shop, and I'd make sure I mixed them into the rotation, just because they were a very good, just a very good dense cigar, and I really liked that. And I got introduced to these through Jerry. I guess it was over a year ago. We were doing a box pass, and in the box pass I got a Punch Champion. I was next on the list right after Jerry, and he was raving about the cigar, so I gave it a shot, and just really liked it, and I've been buying them ever since. And they're fairly inexpensive, like I mentioned. They're $3.90 a piece. That's my Pennsylvania price, and I think JR's sells them for between $60 and $65 a box. So, the price point is pretty good on them. The only downside is the fact that they're a fairly quick smoke, just because of the 4.5 inch length. But it's nice and slow right where it counts, right in that big ring gauge section, and it just makes for a nice, cool, flavorful smoke that I'm really enjoying. So I'm gonna get back to smoking my Punch Champion, and maybe back 2 more times, because once I crest this large section where I'm at now, things are gonna pick up just naturally, just because of the shape of the cigar. There's just less tobacco. So, without any further ado, I'm gonna get back to smoking. Be back in a few. Here we are again. As you can see, I just tapped the ash off. It was getting quite long, but I'm just starting to get past the hump now, and this is where the complexity starts to come in. Now that I'm past the mass of filler tobacco that gives you that nice, smooth, easy going, smooth, full flavored Honduran base flavor. Now is when the complexities start to come in as you work backwards into that smaller ring gauge and more concentrated tobacco. And now I'm starting to get some woody flavors and some salty flavors, both of which I find very common with the Punch brand. The Champion's just a little bit different. I can't quite put my finger on it, but it tastes a lot like a regular Punch, but with minor differences, and I think they're very good. The Champion, that is. Actually, the regular line too. Now I'm getting all twisted up. Starting to get a lot more smoke. The volume's just is getting thicker, and that thin aerated kind of smoke that I was getting before, that's no longer an issue. Now it's just really thick, and a little piece of tobacco, but it's really thick and flavorful, and it's really enjoyable. The finish still gives you that kind of thick feel in your mouth, but now you get a little bit of a salty flavor that makes you salivate a little bit. And just drinking a little bit of ginger ale with it. I hate to say this, but there's not a whole lot to say about the cigar. It's very consistent and good, with just a little bit of minor flavor changes in there that really kind of elevate the experience. During that last clip, I just happened to look behind the camera, and just dawned on me that Jerry and I were talking in that Q&A segment last week about cigar bands, and how I mentioned that I like to take mine off because I store them in a plastic container as a sort of a decoration. And I thought, well, since it's there, I might as well show you it. And it's not much to look at. It all it is just my big plastic hard pretzel jars that or containers that I just throw bands in. And the whole purpose of this isn't just so that you can look at this massive pile of bands. It's because eventually I do plan on taking the bands and putting on a matting material and putting them in a frame of some sort, just to kind of hang up in my smoking room and just use as a decoration. Now I do realize that looks like a lot of bands, and it really is a lot of bands, and that's not all just me. A lot of those bands come from my father also. I spend a lot of time smoking cigars with my father, and it's it's a really enjoyable experience. And when we're done, we just toss the bands in the jar, and a couple days later we'll light up another one and add a couple more bands. So just wanted to jump on real quick and show you that. No changes in the cigar. Still performing very well. Lots of smoke, great flavor. So with that said, I'm going to get back to smoking and come back one more time in a bit and wrap everything up. Well, we're back one final time, and as you can see, this one's beginning to get real short. And like any small ring gauge cigar, at this point, I would definitely consider it a small ring gauge cigar. It heats up very easily, so you really need to take your time. And that's something that you easily forget when you're smoking that big fat 60 ring gauge portion of the Perfecto. That once you get past that, you really need to slow down a little bit. Otherwise, you're going to get the cigar to overheat very easily. So with that in mind, take small, slow puffs, and the cigar still delivers lots of smoke and lots of flavor, even with those much smaller puffs. No change in flavor. It's still got a nice heavy Honduran base with some woody flavors and that little bit of a salty kick to it. That mild spice I mentioned before, it's so mild now that it barely registers going through my sinuses. And just to wrap it up overall, I think this is a great cigar, and it's a very good price too. $3.90 I think is pretty affordable, especially at a local shop. So if you have the opportunity to pick one up, definitely do so. I really don't think you'll be disappointed, especially if you like full flavored Honduran style cigars. You'll really enjoy it. And I think Punch is one of those cigar brands where when you think of each, the three major countries, the Dominican Republic, Honduras, and Nicaragua, certain brands come to mind. When you think of the Dominican Republic, the first name that pops in your head is Arturo Fuente. He makes some really good cigars, and he's just the big name that is familiarized with Dominican Republic cigars made in the Dominican Republic. And there's a lot of cigars made in Nicaragua that are very good, and some of the big names that really pop in your head there are Padron, Don Pepin Garcia. And they're very good cigars that have a definite Nicaraguan flavor to them. And as soon as you think of Nicaragua, those are the brands that come to mind. When I think of Honduras, the whole Punch brand comes to mind. They're just very flavorful, and they have a very distinct Honduran flavor that really backs that thought of associating a cigar brand with a country. And in this case, Punch is definitely the brand that I think of when I think of Honduran cigars. And I just think they're a very good cigar. Definitely pick one up if you have the opportunity. So that's about all I got for you today. Hope you enjoyed this impromptu little mini herf here with me, a cigar, and the video camera. And I've got a little bit more to smoke. I'm going to smoke this down as short as I can. I don't want to make you sit through that. So with any further ado, I'm going to keep on smoking. And as always, really appreciate you taking the time to watch the videos. Thanks a lot, guys. And see you Monday.